Why don't we begin with the question? Ted? Thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Ted Dennis, and I'm chairperson of Voices for Change and a member of Left in Poverty. Both organizations are engaged in political advocacy on behalf of people who are homeless, have experienced homelessness, and live in poverty. This year we're going to introduce legislation to requiring the automatic expungement of UDs on lawful detainers after 18 months. And in the course of my advocacy, I am regularly reminded of elements of the reNEW.mn vision. The overrepresentation of racial and ethnic minorities among those in need of social service assistance highlights how urgent it is that we embrace a politics of inclusion and justice for all and create a fair and equitable economy that benefits everyone. And on September 26th, I'm proud to say I was a table discussion leader at the event launching the reNEW Minnesota campaign. All of the candidates voiced support of the reNEW vision. I recall that you cited your leadership role on the Legislative Commission to End Poverty. So my question to you is that since that day of that event, when you voiced your agreement, what have you done to enact the vision, and how have you incorporated the vision into your campaign?
Well, I think that the whole concept of the vision, I appreciate that Take Action's taken the time, reNEW Minnesota's taken the time, brought people together to spell it out. I think it's the kind of vision that's been in my heart and in my agenda for years. And in terms of since September 26th till now, I haven't really done anything particularly legislatively. I think I've been talking about these issues constantly. And the issue, when we had the Legislative Commission, the title of the commission was Legislative Commission on Ending Poverty by 2020. And sometimes along the way, and people said, you know, that's a nice goal, but of course we could never do it. And it strikes me that that's something we have to do, and it's something we have to believe in first. We somehow have lost our belief that we can carry out this vision. And I think that's one of the key things I've been trying to raise, and that is that we can do this. In Poverty Commission, the one voice I heard most was a woman in northern Minnesota telling us she had special needs kids. I think she had 90 foster kids that she and her husband had raised. When they turned to be 17, getting ready to move out of the house at 18, she says, I try to teach them to be happy living in poverty because that's all they will ever know. I don't think there was a more poignant moment in terms of that, because we shouldn't have to. Their kids were all special needs. They weren't going to find good jobs. I've been trying, I'd say what I've been doing is 23 years in the Senate and trying to address this, to make sure that we have living wage jobs for everyone. And recognizing that not everybody can work at a job that can earn them a living wage. We have to set the system for that. I've been working on this for years. I've introduced legislation, $9.50 an hour minimum wage, that came out of the Poverty Commission, along with fully funding sliding fee, child care so there are no waiting lists, doubling the earned income tax credit. The idea that we have people living in poverty in Minnesota is not acceptable, and it is disproportional among people of color. And we have to recognize we've got laws that cause that. We've got, you mentioned unlawful detainers. We have the same thing with people going through the court system. The laws discriminate and people getting out of it. We trap them in poverty forever. We don't give them a chance. They can't get a job. They can't get an apartment. They can't get housing. So I've been working on that throughout my agenda. I intend to do that. And that's why I'm running for governor, because I'm tired of fighting uphill against the system. I think it's time to lay out this vision for the state.
Just as a follow-up to that, you did a really nice job of outlining certainly the policy priority you're going to put specifically on ending poverty that is part of the reNEW vision. Since September 26th, or since you've had the chance to interact, how have you enveloped the reNEW vision into your campaign, or into the campaign work you've been doing?
Well, in terms of this, I guess I think that my whole rhetoric, and I think it's more than rhetoric, it's more than lip service, but the things we're talking about, I think our campaign is focusing on this. The forums we're attending, the places we're going to. At the Take Action event in Plymouth on health disparities. I mean, I think the thing that really hit me at that was somebody at the very end said, you know, I'm tired of living in a state, I don't know who it was, I can't remember, I'm tired of living in a state where I say, thank God it's not me. And that says something, because yeah, I may be okay I'm not the one who's suffering from this, but they are. They are. we are, I mean, in your vision, I think you even quoted Paul Wellstone, that we all do better when we all do better. I mean, I think we have to believe it. I think we have to mean it, and I think we have to pour out our souls on this, because frankly, that's the kind of vision that people need to hear. We all talk the right vision, but too often we don't follow through.
Thank you.
I'll try.
Question number 2. Tom.
Hi, my name is Tommy, and I'm from Champlin, Minnesota. As a mother, a domestic violence advocate, and among organizing leader with Take Action Minnesota, I'm extremely concerned about the financial situation of Minnesota and the lack of courage on part of our current governor to raise taxes. With funding cuts in education, public safety, and health care, our communities are left vulnerable and unequipped to meet their daily needs. In particular, I'm worried about the state of our educational system. My daughter is 8 months old, and in 4 years she'll be going to first grade. The decisions that the next governor makes will have an impact on the quality of education she receives. And I want her to go to school that is well-funded and where she and all her classmates can thrive. We need a leader who is willing to increase taxes and invest in the well-being of our families. So, as governor, will you be willing to invest in our families, and will you have the courage to increase taxes? And just as importantly, how will you use your campaign as a platform to build political support for raising taxes?
First of all, since you started mentioning domestic violence, I wrote a column several months ago on how the cuts in domestic violence programs, which we did last year as part of the budget, I didn't, but we did that as a state, that those are going to cost us more in the long run, and how investing in prevention saves money. And the whole issue, it's not just education, but it's human services, it's crime and public safety, it's all those issues. If we invest in taking care of people in trouble up front, it saves us money in the long run. The bottom line in terms of being willing to raise taxes, yes. I think many of you I've seen a lot of you around at candidate forums and so on. I think you've been talking about the fact that 10 years ago the Taxpayers League said we got too much money. Districts in my school districts in my district were cutting teachers back then. They were laying people off. Taxpayers League and Jesse Ventura won with the biggest income tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in state history. They passed that by a solid margin, a 64-to-1 vote margin in the state Senate. I was the one no vote. I thought it was wrong. I represented a Republican-leaning suburban district. I still thought it was wrong. I spoke out against it. I voted against it a year later when they wanted more tax cuts. They won that year 65-to-1. I think those tax cuts have led to a lot of the problems we have now. Now we've got to undo that. Undoing just those 2 tax cuts, there's more than $2 billion. That's not sufficient to address the budget needs, but that's part of it, and I believe we have to do that. I've always been consistent in progressive taxes, in the belief in revenue is needed. How will I do it in my campaign? I'm not out there bragging, I'm going to raise your taxes. But I am going to raise taxes. I've been very blunt about that throughout my career. I've offered tax increases many times over the year. I voted against tax cuts because I think it's wrong. If we believe in a society where we care about each other, we've got to invest. Just think of our economy. There are thousands and thousands of things to do to take care of kids in trouble, kids at risk, take care of people in nursing homes, to rebuild our roads and bridges, our libraries, everything else. All those things need doing. And there are thousands of people out of work. And we somehow can't get it together that those people could do these tasks and we'd all be better off. It's a simple thing, and it takes money to do that. And I know that, and I think people believe that. They've been told this line of goods about taxes are evil and taxes are going to tear apart our society. I don't think there's been a legislator more clear on that in the last 23 years, and I'll continue to be that as your governor.